The war was over, humanity had lost, yet the most dangerous battle was just beginning between a victorious empress and a defeated soldier, where weapons meant nothing and hatred wasn't the enemy. The truth was. Subscribe if you want to see how a chained gift becomes a chosen bond. The docking bay of the orbital station was quiet except for the soft hiss of pressure equalizing. Commander Jack Reeves stood perfectly still, his back straight, his hands folded behind him. His dress uniform felt strange after 5 years inside combat armor. It was clean, pressed, and heavy with metals that now felt meaningless. The war was over. Humanity had lost. The thought sat in his chest like cold metal. Across the bay, a raised platform waited. Admiral Chen stood there beside the one person Jack had only seen on battle screens, Empress Kael'thra of the Varosian Empire. The woman who had commanded the fleets that burned human colonies. The strategist who had defeated every major defense line. She was smaller than he expected. When Jack stepped forward with the other officers, his eyes stayed locked on her. Her skin carried a faint silver glow under the station lights. Her violet eyes were sharp and restless, like they were measuring everything in the room. She stood calmly, hands folded, surrounded by armored guards who did not move even an inch. Admiral Chen's voice cut through the silence. Under the terms of surrender, selected human officers will serve as military liaisons to the Varosian command. Commander Jack Reeves, you are assigned to the Empress's personal staff. Jack's jaw tightened. Personal staff. A polite word for hostage. He stepped onto the platform. Kael'thra studied him openly. Her gaze did not feel cruel. It felt curious. When she spoke, her voice was softer than he expected. Commander Reeves, she said, her accent musical but clear. Your record shows remarkable tactical innovation. The Battle of Proxima IV, elegant work. Jack answered without thinking. We still lost. A faint tilt of her head. Not offended. Almost respectful. Yes, she said quietly. But you made us bleed for every kilometer. I lost family in that battle. Jack met her eyes. I lost 3,000 soldiers. Something flickered in her expression. Recognition, maybe. Or calculation. You will accompany me to my flagship, she continued. Gather your belongings. We depart in 1 hour. She turned and walked away, her guards closing around her like moving walls. Jack noticed how they watched her, not just discipline. Devotion. Fear. Maybe both. When the bay cleared, Admiral Chen stepped close. I know what you're thinking, she said, but we need real eyes inside their command structure. You're asking me to spy. I'm asking you to survive, she replied, and learn something. She requested you specifically. That bothered him more than anything. The Sovereign's Grace was less a ship and more a floating cathedral of metal and light. Its corridors curved in unfamiliar angles. Gravity felt slightly lighter. Even the air smelled different, clean, sharp, alien. Jack's assigned quarters were spacious, but cold. Not a prison. Not comfortable either. A soft tone chimed. He opened the door and froze. The Empress stood alone in the hallway. No guards. May I enter? She asked. Surprise delayed his answer, but he stepped aside. She walked to the viewing window, hands clasped behind her back. Without her escort, she looked younger. Almost tired. I wanted to speak privately, she said. Without performance. Jack leaned against the wall. Why? A long silence stretched between them. Because I am surrounded by people who tell me what I want to hear, she said finally. In 5 years of war, you were the only human commander who fought with honor even in defeat. Jack frowned. You won. Isn't that enough understanding? We won, she corrected softly. And lost more than you imagine. My people celebrate victory. I count the cost. She turned to face him fully. Your ethics confuse my advisors, she continued. Your treatment of prisoners. Your refusal to use biological weapons even when losing. They call it weakness. And you? I call it something we forgot. Her voice held weight, regret, maybe. You hate me, she added calmly. I accept that. But I hope, in time, you help me understand why humanity chose honor over survival. Jack did not answer. He didn't have one. She moved to the door, then paused. Perhaps, she said quietly, I can help my people remember what we lost when we became conquerors. The door slid closed behind her. Jack stood at the window for a long time, watching stars drift past. The Empress was not what he expected. And somehow, that made her far more dangerous than any enemy he had faced in battle. 3 weeks into his assignment, he still couldn't predict her. Mornings were spent in tactical briefings. Kael'thra dissected human battle strategies with surgical precision, often stopping to ask his opinion. She listened, truly listened, even when he disagreed. Her generals did not like that. Their irritation was visible, but one glance from her silenced them. Afternoons were stranger. She insisted he accompany her everywhere. Inspections, diplomatic meetings, even quiet walks through her ship's observation gardens. She spoke about philosophy, leadership, and the weight of command. My mother prepared me to rule, she told him once among glowing alien plants. But not for the loneliness of decisions that kill thousands. Is that why I'm here? Jack asked. To make you feel better about the war? Her head snapped toward him. No. I will never feel better about it. But I must understand what we fought. My people see humans as primitive aggressors, yet you create art in trenches. You write poetry while facing extinction. Jack shrugged. We just want to survive. Everyone wants survival, she said. Humans want meaning in survival. Before he could answer, alarms screamed through the ship. Both of them ran. The tactical display showed a Varosian mining colony under attack. Raiders, an officer reported. Unknown origin. Third Fleet is 4 hours away. We are 1 hour away, Kael'thra said. Battle stations. Her generals protested. She ignored them. Jack found himself at a tactical console. The raiders used hit-and-run patterns, familiar patterns. Those tactics are human, he said. Modified but human. Kael'thra stepped closer. Can you counter them? He hesitated only a second. They expect pursuit. Don't. Use the asteroid field as a choke point. Force them to commit or retreat. Orders were given. The battle was fast and brutal. The raiders broke. The colony survived. Later, Kael'thra stood beside him quietly. Did helping feel like betrayal? She asked. Jack stared at the casualty report. Minimal losses. Yes, he said. And like the right thing. She nodded slowly. That tension, she said softly, between hate and compassion, that is what my people must relearn. That night, Jack lay awake staring at the ceiling. He had saved Varosian lives. Enemy lives. Or were they still enemies? The question followed him into uneasy sleep. 3 weeks passed after the mining colony battle, and Commander Jack Reeves learned something unsettling. Life aboard the Sovereign's Grace was beginning to feel normal. That disturbed him. Each morning, he stood beside Empress Kael'thra during tactical briefings. Her generals filled the air with sharp voices and glowing battle maps. Jack remained quiet unless she asked for his opinion. And she always asked. Not as a test. As trust. That trust irritated the Varosian officers. General Thex made no effort to hide it. The scarred warrior often watched Jack like a predator studying prey. During one briefing, Thex slammed a fist onto the table. Human tactics rely on desperation, he growled. They are chaotic. Inefficient. Jack kept his voice calm. Desperation forces creativity. You can't predict someone fighting with nothing left to lose. The room tensed. Thex's eyes narrowed. We crushed that desperation. Kael'thra spoke before Jack could respond. And yet, she said evenly, they nearly broke our third fleet. Dismissing an enemy is poor strategy. Thex fell silent, but the message was clear. Jack did not belong there. Later that day, Kael'thra asked Jack to walk with her through the observation gardens. The glowing plants hummed softly, casting pale light over silver paths. It was the quietest place on the ship. You handled Thex well, she said. I didn't, Jack replied. You did. She smiled faintly. He represents a part of my empire that believes strength means domination. They see cooperation as weakness. And what do you see? She stopped walking. "I see a future balanced on a blade," she said quietly. "One wrong decision, and everything burns again." Jack studied her expression. For a moment, she did not look like an empress. She looked tired. "You're afraid," he said. Her eyes met his. "Of failing my people? Of repeating history? More." Before Jack could answer, alarms shattered the calm. A diplomatic reception on Varos Prime had been attacked. Within hours, they stood inside a grand hall filled with alien dignitaries and tense guards. The atmosphere smelled of perfume and suspicion. Jack remained near the edge, scanning the room out of habit. That was when he saw the server. The movement was wrong. Too controlled. Too focused. Jack's instinct screamed. He moved without thinking. The server's hands slipped into their uniform. A flash of metal, a neural disruptor disguised as medical equipment. Jack hit the attacker hard, driving them to the marble floor. The weapons skidded away. Guards swarmed instantly. Chaos erupted. Kael'thra appeared beside him moments later. "Are you injured?" she asked. "No," Jack said, catching his breath. "But you were the target." Her gaze dropped to the captured assassin. Shock flickered across her face, then anger. "Take them," she ordered. When the room cleared, silence settled around them. "You protected me," she said quietly. "Instinct," Jack answered. "You were under my responsibility. You hate what I represent." "I do," he admitted. "But I don't want you dead." Her eyes softened. "That contradiction," she whispered. "It may save us." The investigation revealed the truth quickly. A Varosian extremist faction opposed to peace. Their leader was a name Jack already knew. General Thex. The revelation hit the command deck like an explosion. Kael'thra stood at the center of the chamber, her voice steady despite the betrayal. "Thex has declared rebellion," she announced. 30% of the fleet has joined him. The tactical display lit up with red markers, rebel ships positioned above Varos Prime. "They can bombard the planet," an officer said quietly. Millions of lives hung in balance. A transmission opened. Thex's scarred face filled the screen. "Your reign ends today," he said coldly. "Surrender, and we spare the capital." Kael'thra's posture did not change. "You threaten your own people." "I purge weakness," Thex replied. His gaze shifted to Jack. "Send me the human. Let him answer for corrupting our empire." Every eye turned toward Jack. The room felt smaller. Kael'thra's hand tightened at her side. "No." Jack spoke before fear could settle. "It's the only play," he said quietly. "If I go, he delays the attack. That gives you time." "He will kill you," she said. "Probably," Jack replied with a thin smile. "But fewer people die." Silence followed. Kael'thra's voice trembled. "I forbid it." "You're my empress," Jack said gently. "Not my conscience. I volunteer." Their eyes locked. Words passed between them that no one else heard. Fear, trust, regret. Finally, she nodded once. The shuttle ride to the rebel flagship felt longer than any battlefield deployment. Jack carried no weapon. Only the weight of his choice. Thex waited inside the docking bay, surrounded by armed soldiers. "The famous human," he sneered. "The symbol of imperial decay." Jack stood tall. "If peace is decay, maybe you're afraid of growth." Thex struck him hard. Pain exploded behind Jack's eyes, but he stayed upright. "You will die as an example," Thex said. Jack tasted blood and smiled faintly. Examples go both ways. As soldiers dragged him toward the bridge, Jack's thoughts were calm. He wasn't fighting to win. He was fighting to stop the cycle. And somewhere across space, an empress who once conquered humanity was preparing to risk everything for the same reason. The war was not returning. It was changing. And Jack stepped forward to meet it. Commander Jack Reeves was forced to his knees in the center of the rebel flagship's bridge. Cold metal pressed against his back. Armed Varosian soldiers formed a tight circle around him. Beyond the wide viewing screen, the planet Varos Prime glowed in silent beauty, billions of lives hanging in the balance. General Thex stood in front of him, calm and proud, like a man already celebrating victory. "This," Thex announced, activating the broadcast, is the fate of those who weaken our empire. Across the bridge, screens flickered to life. Civilian channels, military networks, billions of Verosians and humans now watched. Jack lifted his head. He felt fear, but it sat quietly beneath something stronger. Acceptance. Thex pressed a weapon against Jack's skull. Watch closely, the general said. Your empress chose weakness. This is its cost. Another screen opened. Empress Kael'thra appeared. She did not look afraid. She stood tall in her command chamber, violet eyes steady, silver skin glowing under harsh light. But Jack saw the tension in her shoulders. Saw the emotion she refused to hide. General Thex, she said clearly, her voice reaching every corner of the empire. You claim loyalty to our people. Then listen. The bridge fell silent. You accuse me of betrayal, she continued. Of corruption. Of choosing an enemy over my own blood. But you misunderstand what strength is. Thex laughed. Strength is victory. Domination. Survival. No, Kael'thra said softly. Strength is choosing what is right, even when it costs everything. Jack felt the weapon press harder against his head. Thex's voice sharpened. You speak of right while kneeling to a human. Kael'thra's gaze never left the screen. That human stood in front of danger to protect me. Not because he loved my empire. Not because he forgot the war. But because honor demanded it. Her voice trembled, not with fear, but with truth. He reminded me of something we lost. That conquest is not greatness. Compassion is. The bridge shifted. Soldiers glanced at one another. Doubt crept into the air. Thex snarled. Enough words. Your throne, or his life. A long pause followed. Jack shook his head slightly. A silent message. Don't. Kael'thra saw it. Her eyes softened, then hardened with resolve. I choose neither, she said. Thex blinked. You have no third option. I surrender, she said. The bridge froze. Jack's breath caught. I surrender my pride, Kael'thra continued. My fear. My belief that power means never showing weakness. If protecting one life, even a former enemy, is seen as betrayal, then let history judge me a traitor. Her voice broke, but she did not stop. This human taught me that leadership is not domination. It is sacrifice. If his death is required to preserve your illusion of strength, then take mine instead. Gasps rippled across the rebel bridge. Kael'thra stepped away from her throne. I am coming to you unarmed, she declared. Broadcast this. Let our people watch their empress die protecting a man you call inferior. The weapon against Jack's head trembled. Thex's confidence cracked. Around him, soldiers shifted. Eyes darted to the screens flooding with civilian reactions. Messages pouring in faster than systems could process. Support. Respect. Admiration. She would die for him, someone whispered. That is honor, another said. Thex roared in frustration. Silence. Jack spoke calmly despite the weapon. They're watching, General, he said. Every citizen. Every soldier. Decide what they see. Thex's arm shook. The doors behind him exploded open. Kael'thra entered the bridge. She walked past armed rebels as if they were shadows. Her gaze locked onto Jack, relief flashing through her eyes, then onto Thex. I am here, she said quietly. Release him. Thex stared at her, disbelief warring with rage. You would throw away an empire? For him? Kael'thra stepped closer. I would redefine an empire for what it should be. Silence crushed the room. Thex looked around. No soldier met his eyes. The weapon fell from his hand. It hit the floor with a hollow clang that echoed like thunder. Jack exhaled. The rebellion died in that moment, not in fire or blood, but in truth. Guards slowly lowered their weapons. Some stepped back. Others stood frozen, watching their world change. Thex sank to his knees. You don't understand, he whispered. Kael'thra knelt in front of him. You believed strength meant conquest, she said gently. But strength is choosing mercy when violence is easy. She stood and helped Jack to his feet. You came, he said, voice rough. Of course, she answered. You are my shield companion. Did you think I would let you stand alone? He managed a tired smile. I was trying to save you. And I was saving you, she replied softly. Seems we are both stubborn. Around them, rebel officers secured Thex without resistance. The broadcast ended not with execution, but with unity. Weeks later, the Empire was quieter. The rebellion's leaders faced justice, but not vengeance. Kael'thra insisted on fair trials. The image of her standing for a former enemy reshaped Verosian politics overnight. Jack found her again in the observation garden. The glowing plants pulsed gently as she spoke. The Council wants to award you our highest civilian honor. I didn't do it for medals, Jack said. I know, she replied. That is why you deserve it. He looked at her, not an empress, not a conqueror, but a leader who chose change. What are we now? He asked. She smiled faintly. Two people who decided war was not the only path. Jack nodded. I can live with that. They stood together, watching stars drift in endless silence. The war that ended humanity's resistance had not truly ended in surrender. It ended when pride fell. When compassion rose. When two former enemies chose understanding over hatred. And in that surrender, they found something stronger than victory.